This is Alex
Good morning.
Oluwole
This is
on
Alex
Cleveland
Oluwole
TV,
on
transmitting
Cleveland TV.
worldwide from London. With me this morning, I have a very important guest from Lagos, where we have flipping electricity and all the attendant communication log jams. So we are
So we
still
are
going
still
to
going to
manage
manage
because it's
because it's
important that
important
we
that
reach
we
out to
reach
the
out to the
world.
world.
Because if we
Because if we
don't,
don't,
we will not
we
be
will
able
not be
to
able
solve
to
our
solve our
problem.
problem.
You are
You are
welcome,
welcome,
Ogbeni
Ogbeni
David
David
Adebayo, to this
Adebayo, to this
program this
program this
morning.
morning.
And
Thank you.
before
Before
I
I
go
go
on, I
on,
want
I
to
want
hear
to
a
hear
word
a
of
word of
a word of wisdom
wisdom
from
from
you
about
about what we are
what we are
doing
doing
on
on
Pan-Africanism.
Pan-Africanism.
Thank you very much, Daddy. I call you Daddy because of what I call the reservoir of knowledge that you have already displayed. I thank you very much for the opportunity to join you on this very important platform. You have described us in Lagos, in Nigeria in particular, and we have. I don't need to go by. In the last 72 hours, our electricity has collapsed about 2 times, and so the nation was without electricity for about 12 hours. However, those are the challenges that we have to grapple with, and we are hoping that this type of discussion, this type of platform that we are raising, will highlight many of these things and finding lasting solutions to them for us to make giant stride and move forward in that regard. Once again, before I move forward, I want to say thank you for inviting me and bringing me into this platform. It's my pleasure, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that very brilliant summation of what actually is the source of the reason why we are going to discuss Pan-Africanism and how it has affected us, either positively or negatively. So, Pan-Africanism had been a concept that was muted in the United States of America, and the champion of this was Marcus Garvey. And Marcus Garvey wrote several papers on Pan-Africanism to the point that he had a vision which is right, but which is right for anybody. But is this vision going to fit into the African continent? That
That
vision
vision
seems to
seems to
reduce
reduce
Africa into
Africa
a
into a
country.
country.
If you
If
look
you
at
look at
what he
what he
wrote,
wrote,
there's a
there's a
point he
point he
said,
said,
we will
we will
come to
come to
Africa
Africa
and
and
remove
remove
all
all
those
those
pink
pink
skins
skins
from
from
Africa.
Africa.
That is the
That is the
Europeans.
Europeans.
It's good
It's
to
good to
dream.
dream.
And that's
And that's
why
why
I lay my hand on the report of one of the major conferences that was properly documented in one of the books in my front here. The 1945 Manchester Pan-African Congress revisited. It says colonial and colored unity, the report of the fifth Pan-African Congress, colonial and colored unity. We could remove colonial, that is after independence, but let us look at colonial and colored unity, that all blacks should unite. The question is, start to examine these
these
things.
things.
Is it
Is it
possible
possible
for
for
us
us
living
living
in
in
countries
countries
created for
created
us,
for
which
us,
I
which I
consider
consider
as
as
apartments?
apartments?
We are
We are
living in
living in
rented
rented
environment
environment
called
called
African
African
countries.
countries.
We
We
should
should
understand that
understand
we
that we
need our
need
own
our
land
own land
space
space
in
in
terms of
terms of
language,
language,
culture,
culture,
and
and
shall
shall
keep on
keep on
stressing
stressing
this.
this.
That's the
That's the
bane of
bane of
Africa.
Africa.
And we have not started our education in our own language. We are still having our education in a foreign language dropped behind, and which is what I'm speaking now. I'm speaking this so I can reach out to the rest of the world to know that there's a problem in Africa. We cannot be looking at Africa in terms of the countries that were created and left behind. in the name of independence, who do not yet. So I believe strongly that the African now has to re-examine himself, not to arrogate himself to the point or strut around as if he has come of age. We have not really come of age. Although there are some form of development in one area or the other, but are this development addressing the human capital, the people? How are we relating our development strategies to the people? What is the focus? People matter to the point where you have to consider the child born today. What is his future in the countries in Africa? It's indeterminate as we see today. As if we do not consider life as important. And that is why I'm an advocate, and my advocacy is that we should go back and stop what they did in 1963 when the leaders then who agreed that they are going to adopt the constructs of the colonial masters as the boundaries of African countries. Within these countries, there's the bell rang in the colonial language, unity. They ring the bell in the colonial language, unity, with the intention that most of the people in those countries do understand. For example, in Nigeria, the structure is so bad that only a percentage from one area do understand this colonial language called English language. In my own part, we speak Yoruba, Ede Yoruba Lanso, in the western part. Even though the western region that was divided for us, we didn't do the division, contain other people who do not understand Yoruba language, but who have an affinity of being able to work with the Yorubas, like the Edo people. The Shekris do have a form of Yoruba language, which most of us do understand. See, we are a motley crew of a people. We really haven't started civilization yet, even though we think we are civilized. If we are civilized, a place like Lagos should not have any cause for not having electricity, water supply, a sewage system and disposal, schools, maternity homes, old people's home to take care of the elderly, free health, free education, agricultural development, industries and industrial research,
Yes, sir. Can I come in, sir?
colleges.
Yeah. Can I come in, sir?
Just have all this. And that's, you see,
Thank you,
it's
sir.
divided by Pan-Africanism. Yes, yes. Let me pause while you have a question.
Yes, sir. Following you very closely. Your idea is, for me, is very lofty, and it looks like an ideal. But how do we get to the road when these countries that we talk about, the European countries in Africa, existed? They have existed for many of them over 60 years and some more. These people have created government within those enclaves and has given them resources. They control the army, they control the economy, they control the business, they control almost everything. How are we going to get this done without, well, there is nothing that comes without sacrifice. But how much sacrifice are we going to give to achieve what you are talking about? For me, from the way you are bringing it to form, it looks more of a small crisis. Let me be a crisis that may be more than what we are looking at, because the people that have the resources are not going to let go so easily, especially those that are benefiting from this topic.
If I may, if I may come to remind you on something, the people that have the resources do not control the resources in Nigeria. Others do control it by a very faulty arrangement, which all of us in that land space called Nigeria, which is to me is still a foreign country to us. It is not our country. Some have sort of acquiesced into allowing some people to lord it over them. We have to wake up every part because we collectively are living in that place. We don't own it. We are living in that place. And if we are living in that place, we have a right of sharing equally. And if we cannot share, and if we cannot agree on cooperation, which is the situation we have now, rather we are lying that the dissolution of Nigeria is a non-starter, which is not true. Many countries of the world have gone through this stage. If some of them have gone more than 60 years than us, and then they went their separate ways, and they are developing, and they are happy, and they are now shaking hands across borders. Oh, this how much we have done. We now can control. For example, Czechoslovakia has divided into two. The Czechs and Slovaks are now better friends than they were when they were together.
That's correct. That's correct.
That's one of the examples. Look at Singapore and Malaysia. By independence, there was a country called the Federation of Malaysia and Singapore. It no longer exists. The Singaporeans, even though they were in a very wretched form, living in marshland, decided that they cannot work with the Malays, and they decided to be on their own. And now look at Malaysia and Singapore. They are separately developing rapidly. There's no rancor. They are cooperating and shaking hands across border and connecting their different countries with high grade roads, communication networks, waterways. That is what we call civilization, not the lies that we have in Africa. While a certain group will dominate the others, which is what is happening. It's worse even in the Congo. We are lucky in Western Nigeria that we had education before independence. If we didn't, our lot would have been very worse by now. That's one thing. That education I will all introduce in Western region enlightened people to some point. But that enlightenment had not gone into re-examining who am I? Am I just a Yoruba man who is living in a country? And what country is this? Did our forefathers create this country? We have a right to stand up to say no to this mess.
That's correct. That's correct.
We believe that which is one of the things that is God who solve it. God is not going to solve it. God gave us the intellect. God gave us the ability to think. Why should we jettison that thinking cap and now live in the wretchedness we are all living in?
Despite all the resources.
Despite all the resources available. Even if we leave the resources to the people of the Niger Delta, each area has enough resources to develop according to their wish. For example, I have in one of my books a report in 1996, the paper by the Arewa group. They said they had enough minerals to last them for 200 years, and even before the 200 years, they would discover more. That is just sad that the people in the South always claim the North has nothing. They said they have a lot. Of course, that is what you are seeing now. Zamfara has large gold mines and many other places. All they don't have in large quantities oil, crude oil. And even the crude oil that came, a little portion of it is in the Chad Basin. Much of it is in the Republic of Chad, unfortunately. So we have the ability to redevelop, even if we go our separate ways. And this is what Cook has said in one of his last presentations,
Yeah.
that let us go our separate ways so that we can develop according to our wish and our vision and our abilities, rather than deceiving ourselves and saying we are fighting for promoting unity. Not fighting, promoting unity in a messed up environment whereby people are not allowed to function. Most of our young daughters, the resources to allow our young daughters, the resources to allow our young engineers and scientists to work, it's not there in the country. Where's the electricity? Where's the electricity to give the peace of mind for somebody to work uh, all night to start to find meanings to things? Although we are very resourceful, a few people have tried and made breakthroughs, but that is not enough. That's not what is called nation building.
Mm.
That is the position I hold, family. We need to wake up to that reality that all of us can no longer continue to deceive ourselves, which is very true.
Yes,
And
sir. You have not touched this area of um, these people who are rented, let me put it, rented leaders, people who have opportunities to now step into the artificial countries called created by the Europeans and to leverage on them and holding the resources of the people against the people. How do we get around that, sir?
well, it's the will of the people to get around it, because one thing to realize that we gave our sovereignty to these leaders in the form of a political association to rule on our behalf, but they are not ruling on our behalf. But unfortunately, most of our people do not understand that they are being shortchanged. All they do is they say, Ọlọ́run á ṣe, it will be all right. You don't eat all right, and you don't eat if we, some of the languages that if we get a credible leader, we cannot get a credible leader in a place where you have people who do not understand it, where we are living in an environment of lying to each other, where if I go from one area to the other, I must have to look for a translator to translate my thoughts to them. That is, if I'm speaking in my own home language, they're not speaking English language. And that again is one of the things we have to educate our people to
Okay,
wake up to that reality that we gave away our sovereignty. And
thank you, sir.
we have a right to claim it back and say this is the way we want it to be done.
Okay, well, sorry to further before you land finally. How do we now take this sovereignty back?
Education, education, education. We have to talk back to our people that it's our fault that have allowed these people to grow in our midst. And if we say no to them, they are just singular people. So we should not allow the tyranny of the minority to overtake the wishes of the majority.
That's great, sir.
And currently, we are inadvertently using the tyranny of the majority to hurt ourselves. What I mean by that is that we have blindly put in place people who have nothing to do for us. Blindly put in place through a process of political accommodation. Blindly, I repeat, put in place who have nothing in common in terms of our wishes. An average person wishes to be able to live comfortably in a livable environment whereby he can come out in and out of his home without looking back that maybe somebody's coming after him by with a gun. Even though naturally societies have miscreants, but the level at which most of these miscreants have grown in Africa is enormous.
Yeah,
That
because
people are afraid to live. People are living gated homes because we have allowed the tyranny of the majority to give power to a minority that do not respect the majority. And that's the truth. And so we have uh, to shed that blindness out of the people's minds, to tell them that they have a power to have good life, not live in gutters, not live under bridges. They have the power to be able to have new technology to build their own homes, either in cooperative form. God has given us all the resources. Is it clay that we are looking for that we cannot use to make clay bricks? Is it a kaolin and cement and sand that we are looking for that we cannot have it? Is it rock that we cannot quarry to make foundations and construct good roads? We can do all this.
that's
Not
correct.
look for a foreign person to come and start doing it for us. And the moment a foreign person is doing it for us, then it means our man is not going to be employed. Look at China. In the last 30 years, 40 years, they were still riding bicycles in the streets of Beijing and Peking and all other places.
That's
Today,
correct.
they are grappling with overpopulation of modern technology transport systems, high-speed rails, airports in almost hundreds of airports spread across the country. Where are we? When we were already riding cars in the 60s, they were riding bicycles in China. That is in Nigeria or in most African countries.
Okay. I agree totally with your with the objective of having these true people coming together and achieving uh, the unity within the own people. What I'm trying to say is that we, a Yoruba people, for instance, coming together into one makes a more realistic development possible. However, the question I'm trying to point out is that with this struggles that is going on, see what is happening in Yoruba land, for instance. If you look at the ports there, for instance, the management of the port is manned by people from the north. If you go to the one we call Nimasa, that is the one that oversees the maritime resources, is manned by people from other than people from Yoruba land. And these people who already have this capacity, who already develop this um, ownership mentality that, oh, we own this, we own this, they will not let go in peace, as it were. So, what do you suggest we do?
If I may turn this into a little bit of a joke, if a thief is in the corner of your house and you do not take cognizance of it, then he will stay and start picking up all of things. Let me talk about Europe before coming back home. The England we are today, the Norsemen, the Vikings from Norway, came and met these gentle people praying in their monasteries and monk this thing, establishments and cathedral with gold and beautiful ornaments. And the Vikings came and said, "What? It's beautiful." They just went and started picking all these things. And the people were praying, God forgive them. God forgive them. Read the history. That's exactly what we, the Yoruba land, we have left what we should do and praying to God to help in our various forms. God will not help. It's your property. Stand up to claim it back. And to
That's
claim
correct.
it back is to call for the dissolution of that country. Because they are taking advantage of the fact that we are the ones who forced them into the country. They did not want the country because they understood that they also are living in a rented place called Nigeria because it's not ours. It was a created territory against French interest. Like I explained, it because the French could have owned most of what is called Nigeria today, and there would have not been a Nigeria as we know it today, because they were created territories during the time of the scramble for Africa and the continuous fractionalization of the continent into various spheres of influence and control, which we did not, and our forefathers did not partake in this construction. And if they did not partake in this construction, which most of our people still don't understand, and that is why we're trying to use the platform of Heart Talk Africa to talk deep into our people. Like I surmised earlier, the ignorance of our people have allowed the tyranny of the majority to put in place people who do not know what to do with the power given to them through the sovereignty, the individual sovereignty that we collectively gave them by either voting or not voting.
Okay, sir. I don't want us to end this discussion without uh, having a focused solution. You have spoken about our people being educated. We should focus on education and making sure that everybody knows what to do. But I have also seen that people, we have, in Yoruba land, for instance, we have so many educated people, educated in quotes, who knows what to do, who understood all that has been, but has refused to take action. So what do you suggest we do? Taking it home, sir.
Yeah, my suggestion is not to start to attack these people, but also open them up to the truth, because I have attempted to reach out to even some of the top big ones, and they now understood that if we sit back and say, God, because there was a case when I was in Ekiti, and I visited a friend of mine of many years. This professor of chemical engineering that should be looking into different aspects of engineering chemicals into maybe fertilizers and so on. Did he come to give me? Tracks from the Bible that God is going to save us.
Hmm.
I just looked at him and said, I'm sorry, sir. You're a professor of chemical engineering. Where in Europe or America did God come to save them? They pray, which is important.
But they also work.
And I said, the system is walk and pray. The prayer that God give me strength to be able to walk more, to understand more the complexities of the nature of the land that, dear God, you have given me. How do I make it useful to myself? That's the prayer after walking. So that you will have an inspiration to be able to do more, and maybe in an eureka moment invent something, because knowledge is in the air. Picking it up and getting into your brain is the eureka moment. Oh yes, I've discovered this is the best thing to do. I quickly run and put it down so I do not forget, because it's just passing by, and you happen to be a receiver for that knowledge at that moment in time. That's what we call eureka moment. Now, to our people, the majority of our people, I don't call them illiterates. The majority of our people are on the lower level in terms of social structure, should also be educated to not always look up to those in the front and not challenge them. Why are you leaving us to die cheaply? Our women and girls don't have proper health service. Even the young men, you see, you cannot leave us this way. The world takes care of its own people. It's not piecemeal or NGO that will save Africa. It is constructed development, starting from knowing that everybody is valued when it's born today. He has a role to play in the world. And with that education, we'll be able to challenge those men that we call Babake. They are not Babake. If they were Babake, the people at home would not be suffering. And we should not be gathering in front of all those people who have taken your resources and be begging for peanuts. They should be responsible. Look at, uh, I don't say there are no beggars in Europe and America, but the percentage is minimal and they are taken care of in terms of maybe a social network where they have something they claim every week for support. Does that happen in Africa?
No,
So some states will claim that they are giving money to a few people, but they give them on basis of party affiliation, which should not be.
yeah,
When you use a party platform to win, you want to be able to represent the rest of the people, not only your party, but every other person, regardless of which party that person belongs to. But in Africa, we tend to want to, we are structured in a way that we are either so evil in our approach to humanity, which is it. If we are not, the sufferings in Africa will not happen. The stage we are in to dissolve the colonial countries in Africa. The second stage is to plan how to take care of my people. That is the different nations that we appear. I said, even if it's 100 or 200 countries that appear in Africa, as long as they put in place the structure to develop humanity, to remove hunger by constructive agricultural practices, then Africa is nowhere going.
okay,
Fortunately, a few countries are on that path. Somalia will have been on the same path, but there's a complexity of their arrangement in that country. Because even the people still don't understand they should go back to their original sultanates, about six sultanates, and rule themselves and cooperate and shake hands across the border. This is what I've done my part. Botswana is lucky. Almost 90% of them are natural language speakers, and they're able to develop rapidly. And in fact, their resources are not exported raw. They add value to it. Their gold, diamond are caught and processed in Botswana. To the point you remember why the Prince Harry's wife, diamond ring, was made in Botswana by blacks in their factories.
that's
We can make most of this. We can do our task. After all, Nigeria had a lot of this assembly industry. From the assembly stage, you can become full-time manufacturers of all the components you need in that assembly. That was the stage you are approaching. Then collapse. Pan Nigeria is gone. Volkswagen automobile is gone. Everything is gone. He said that in the Innocent Motors in Eastern region is trying his level best, and they even tried to destroy him before people stood against the federal government's attempt. He was being asked to move his factory to Kaduna.
great. Anyway, thank you very much. That's interesting.
I will stop so far. We will pick up on another topic in the next program. Like I said, we will limit ourselves to between 30 minutes and 40 minutes in any of these programs. We don't want to bore our people with our chat on Africa. I thank you very much for being on this program, my eminent Ogbeni, and I thank the electricity board for not taking off. Are you using? Is it gone? There you are. I hope I did not talk about the electricity. It's gone now. Hello.
Hello.
I was just trying to say something about the electricity. Well, this is going to be part of the program. That
okay, sir.
The flip-flop electricity we have in Nigeria, Lagos, that should be a center of industry and commerce and development and manufacturing, trade, is what we are seeing on the screen now. 21 million people.
Well, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Oh, well, thank you very much for the deep analysis you have given to us, listener, this time around, because whatever I have to contribute is already embedded in what you are giving out. And thank you for the salient point we are taking home today. You said the first port of call is for us to get education for our people. Getting the education, then we move forward to taking our sovereignty back. That is, people should now consciously take their destiny in their own hands and make it work by creating environment, by creating resources around what they have and making it useful for them. That is, making it available for them to develop at their own pace, which is much more effective. That to me is very tangential to our discussion today, and it's a single point I will say we take moving forward. I hope our people will be able to understand this in your point in a deeper form and be able to take the next necessary steps to achieving this goal, sir. It's a pleasure being on your platform, sir, and I thank you so much.
Thank you very much for that very good submission. At this point, I will not really. Say thank you once more for being with me in this Hard Talk Africa program. We look forward for you joining us on another program, which we are going to announce the date.
Okay.
One of it will be.
It's my pleasure, sir.
On Saturday.
I'll be glad to be on your platform again and again, sir.
So we'll be informing ourselves on when to come on. It will be
Thank you, sir.
on the money on Sunday. On Sunday, the 20th of March.
Okay.
Yeah, so around 10 a.m. too. So I'm letting listeners to know that this program is a continuous program. There are several areas we need to touch, and some of them will be country by country. And that is what we are going to do. And like I said, we want the world to know about what is happening to Africa. And some of the time we will speak our native language. These are Yoruba people reaching out to the rest of the world. A fẹ́ bá gbogbo àgbáyé sọ̀rọ̀ nípa pé àti ní ìlú tiwa lọ́tọ̀ọ̀tọ̀ ní Áfíríkà. Àwọn ìlú tí a rí láfíríkà, àwọn ìbò ló dálẹ̀ o, àwọn bàbá wa kọ́ ló dá àwọn ìlú yẹn lẹ̀ o. Agbára Ọlọ́run Elédùmarè, a máa dá ìlú tiwa lọ́tọ̀ọ̀tọ̀ lẹ̀. Àbínú ẹnìkankan, káwọn Ìgbò wà lọ́tọ̀ tiwọn, káwọn Haúsá náà wà lọ́tọ̀ tiwọn, kán máa ṣe bó ṣe wù wọ́n. Ká ìmàdàrú tó ti wà láàárín kó kúrò ńlẹ̀. Ẹ ṣé. Thank you very much. On this note, I sign out on this program this morning. This is alias Oluwole Ajala, and with me all along had been Ogbeni David Ajiboye from Lagos.
My
Thank you.
pleasure. My
Bye.
pleasure. Bye bye.